Hello, my name is Andrew. Welcome to my channel. Today, I just wanted to do a short, this is going to be a really short video. I just want to talk about what I would consider the 5 most intimidating books on my TBR. So I will tell you what they are and why I find them intimidating. These are all books I physically own. So I would like my shelves to be a representation of things that I have read and enjoyed. So there are some things behind me that I have not read. I would just like, my shelves to obviously be mostly books that I have read and enjoyed. So these are some books that I just find a little bit intimidating, and let's get into it. I'm gonna rank these from what I find the least intimidating to the most intimidating. So beginning with The Wise Man's Fear. This is purely only intimidating to me because it is 900 this is exactly 1,000 pages long, which you think it sounds like a lot because it's in one book, but when I think about how many books I've read this year, I have easily read over 1,000 pages. You know what I mean? They're just all in different books. So, and this is also not as intimidating to me because I already know Rothfuss's writing style, and I love his writing style, and I read through it quickly. When I do read it, I still have not finished The Name of the Wind, mostly because there's still is no announcement for book 3, and I don't want to finish it and then, you know what I mean? So, but yet I bought this. I will probably read the first one and then read this one, and I'll probably reread it a lot because I would probably say The Name of the Wind is on track to be my favorite book of all time, which is why so it is kind of intimidating also in the sense of like my hopes are kind of high, but mostly just the page count, because I feel I would like to say I have trust in this author, but I haven't finished the first book, so I don't know how he ends the first book, but I know I love his writing style, so we'll see. Then I have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, which really is like, maybe this should have been the first one, but I've never read a Naomi Novik. I don't really know her writing style, so it's hard for me to kind of say, but this is more of an adult fantasy, and I usually read more young adult at this point. We'll see where I go on my, where I go with books and all that, but I'm still very excited to read this because I feel like a lot of people who don't even like Naomi Novik still appreciate this book a lot. So I just find it intimidating because it's adult fantasy, to be honest. That's really the only reason. And the only adult fantasy I've really read is The Name of the Wind, and that's in first person. Is this in first person? This might even be in first person. I really don't know. I'm also not sure I want this to be my first Naomi Novik, because if this is what most people consider her best book, I don't like to start with authors' best books because then everything you read after that will just be a little bit disappointing. So I don't know why I bought this one first. Yeah, basically just because it's adult fantasy, I find it intimidating. And also kind of with this next one. So the next one is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which was in my 5-star predictions video, purely based off of how this book is discussed. But again, most people say this is N.K. Jemisin's best work. Not everyone that I know says that, but most people say that. So it's not really an intimidating thing. I just find this intimidating because, again, it's adult high fantasy. Let me make that clear. Adult high fantasy is something like adult urban fantasy. I'm good. Like, I feel like I'll be fine. Adult anything else, like, I'm fine. But it's like specifically when we get into high fantasy territory, it's just so intimidating, and because there's just so much you have to keep track of in your head while you're reading, and it's like a lot of people love high fantasy, obviously, and I just find it intimidating. There you go. That's the point of the video. So obviously that's why it's on this list. And I also, like I said, I really want to read some of her other stuff before I get here. So we'll see. Then in the same genre, we have Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. So I have only seen, all I have seen is the first episode of the show. I have seen nothing else, because I'm still not really sure if I want to watch the show first or read the books first or do neither. I don't really know, but I would like to at least attempt to read this. I did read like the first couple pages to like just get a sense of, what's happening, but this is intimidating for a lot of reasons. This is adult high fantasy. This is grimdark, which I don't really think is going to be my jam. I don't really, no one describes this as having any hope in it. People talk about how you get attached to people and they die, and I'm okay with my characters dying. I don't know if I'm gonna be okay with like this many characters dying from what I understand, but and it just to go with the whole point into why it's intimidating, there's literally an appendix that's this long. I don't know if you can really tell. It's literally, it's got to be at least 30 pages of extra facts about each family and house and like what they do, which will probably help me when I start reading it as far as like keeping track of things. But is it really something I want to read? Do I want to read a story that involves that much brain power? Maybe not, I don't know. And then the final book that I find the most intimidating, mostly because it has been described as the scariest book of all time. So I find this intimidating for a totally different reason. It's not because I feel like it will take a bunch of brain power, but the answer to the book is House of Leaves. I mean, this just, something about this spine just, it is terrifying. Like I don't know. Like this looks very scary. And I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared to read it. And if you have not seen, this book has a very interesting, like, let me try to get to a page where you can see, like, there's all these weird things like that. And then like there's some pages that are completely blank and the words are like upside down. And then there's just like, so I mean, oh, and it's falling apart, which I feel like the book falling apart is also, I've from what I understand, you're supposed to read this book as if it is, because I've read reviews that say like I was reading this and the characters were feeling frustrated and annoyed, and you as the reader, based off of the way this is written, feel the same way. So you're supposed to consume this story emotionally. And that's not really, we'll see. I don't know. I am just so scared to read this because I have heard it referred to as one of the scariest books of all time. So, I mean, this is supposed to be about a man who discovers a book that's about a documentary where this family moves into a house and the house is bigger on the inside than the outside, which sounds like Doctor Who, but I don't think this is anything like that. So I'm definitely intimidated. So, I mean, and I've also seen this explained as like, some people interpret this as the scariest book of all time, and some people interpret this as a love story, which is very confusing. How can it be one or the other? I don't know. Maybe it's a love letter to horror, or I don't know, but the intimidation factor is definitely the highest with this one. I mean, all the other ones are intimidating just because I'd have to think really hard, and I don't wanna. So this is the most intimidating book on my TBR, easily. Even though I have a friend that read it and said it reads like a thriller. So I don't know, I feel like I'm getting mixed signals here on this one. If you have thoughts and opinions on this, let me know. I would love to hear them. That's it. I'm just going to talk about those 5. So I would love to know your thoughts on any of these. If you have read them, your thoughts, feel free to discuss with me. I will leave my Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter all in the description as well. So feel free to follow me on any of those if you would like. Have a great day. Bye.